Why do you think the Hyde Amendment should be repealed?
Well, a constitutional right was established that women would be able to make the choice about their own reproductive health. But it isn't a choice for many women who can't afford it. Women in the military who may be overseas and because federal funds can't be used for abortion are put in very difficult situations, often have to come home. And for federal employees who don't find that abortions are covered under our health insurance. It is the only health procedure that is pulled out and excluded in the way that it is, and that's discrimination against women. And so I think we have to have a robust and honest conversation about what the Hyde Amendment really does to women's lives when they can't afford or can't get an abortion.
Is it morally right to take taxpayer money from those who disagree with abortion, who are pro-life, and fund abortion services with that money?
Well, if we start down that path, then we say that, well, people who don't want to fund wars don't have to pay taxes. There are a number of things that are policies of the government with which many of us may disagree all over the map. And so I would say that, if as the Supreme Court decided that this is a right that women have, then we need to fulfill that obligation and make it accessible to all people. Choice is about choice. People who are against abortion, then certainly based on their religious or moral beliefs, should not have them, should not encourage them, should support any alternative that they want. Many of us support those as well. But I think that absolutely the federal government should include that, as we do under other health procedures.
Looking at the health care reform law, do you think plans that are the health plans included in that law should cover abortion services?
Well, most insurance policies actually do cover abortion services. We don't want any of those insurance policies that are in the exchange to, certainly not at all, to be required to exclude abortion services. We want to work with the Secretary of Health and Human Services to make it least onerous as possible for people to be able to have that as part of their coverage for in their insurance policies.
One of the panelists here said that abortion is 10 times safer than childbirth in her speech. Do you agree with that?
Well, I'm assuming that was on a scientific finding, that the incidence of mortality or illness or whatever is, adverse health effect is much more common in childbirth. There are many more things that can go wrong than a first trimester abortion. But as was pointed out, in order for poor women to be able to afford an abortion, it may take them a long time to get the money together. They're put in a more precarious health situation. The risks increase, as well as the cost. And so, we want to make sure that this very safe outpatient procedure is available and accessible to poor women. That is not to say that we don't want to also increase the availability of family planning, of birth control, which again is there's sometimes discrimination even in that. The very same people who vociferously oppose abortion often are not in favor of sex education. They're not in favor of easy access to contraception. None of it makes sense, and it's all discriminatory against women and their children.
Critics will look at this and say, well, if we're giving federal funds to abortion, we're saying that childbirth is not as safe as abortion services. That could encourage people to take part in risky behavior and say, well, there's so many options, I have a way out now, so it really doesn't matter. How do you respond to those who would say that?
They are really denigrating women when people would say that. Oh, what the heck, and I can always get an abortion. That is never the case with women. This is always a difficult decision to make. Women agonize about that, and I think we have to trust women to decide when a procedure is appropriate. But to put that in the same category as a hangnail or an ingrown toenail, I mean, it's just ridiculous. That this is something that women agonize over and really worry about.
So increasing access to abortion, you think, does not encourage some people to get abortions?
There's no evidence of that around the world where access to abortion is more available, that somehow women are more inclined to get one. What happens is that women who don't have access resort, as we heard today, to very dangerous self-inflicted kinds of things in order to terminate the pregnancy. And so, we go back to back alley abortions. We go back to coat hangers, and I mean, is that what we want? I mean, women who are desperate enough to do that to themselves are going to somehow try to abort that pregnancy. We don't want to do that. We don't want to put women at greater risk.
Last question for you. One of the panelists also said that abortion is often a decision that's made out of love. It's a decision that's a responsible one, a responsible decision. Could you think of any scenarios where abortion is a responsible decision to make?
Absolutely. I think we heard from Brittany today with 3 children, barely able to afford to support them. Many of the women who seek abortions are married. They have children. The stability of their lives and their existing children is put at risk. So I certainly think that it's often most often actually a responsible decision. But anyway, who is supposed to make that decision? Do we want legislators to make that decision? It's already been decided that women have a right to make that decision about themselves. The decision by the Supreme Court is based on a certain respect for women being able to make decisions like that and the privacy of women to do just that.
So you think repealing the Hyde Amendment is not something that would just help poor women? You think it would help women in general?
Well, I certainly think, first of all, it's not just about poor women. It's about any federal funding of abortion. So that means women in the military are heroes. And by the way, we do hear a lot about sexual assault in the military. That's a serious problem. A woman who becomes pregnant is double victimized because she has to seek an abortion elsewhere. And so I think, and all the federal employees also don't have easy access to abortion. Not all of them are as well paid as members of Congress. And so I think that it is a statement about our country, about health care, which primarily abortion is a health care procedure, and respect for all women.